Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Activities for People Living at Home with Dementia. We are proud to offer this series with funding from the Area Agency on Aging and the United Way of Tarrant County. These programs are recorded and are made available for viewing through a YouTube channel for future use. Lee is our host for today, brought to us by the Fort Worth Museum of Science and History. She's going to show us some artifacts, I think, owned by World War II General House or Housey. I'm going to let her tell us how we pronounce it. And I'm looking forward to see what this World War II general has to share with us. Lee, take it away.
Thank you so much for the introduction. I hope everyone is doing well today. And I was thinking of, since Memorial Day is coming up, that we might focus a little bit on some of our military artifacts. Now, General Hamilton Hawkins House, we actually have a collection that was donated, a little bit of everything from his military career. He retired, I believe, as a 4-star general. But I was hoping that if any of y'all have, maybe have been in the military or retired, or if you know certain terms or certain things, feel free to chime in, because what we have written and what we have in our database is a little, maybe think terms I'm not familiar with, but I am happy to learn about it. And so for anyone, is anyone familiar with the house, with General House? Okay, great, because I wasn't familiar with him as well. So we'll talk a little bit about his bio. We'll give a brief one with that, and then we'll talk about everything that's on the table. So believe it or not, House comes from a long line of Army men. He was actually born in West Point because his father taught there. He was born in 1908, and he did pass away in 1988. So during that time, he was born at West Point, and would you know, he graduated from West Point. And so he even had a brother that graduated from West Point.
My husband graduated from West Point.
Really? Oh, hey, you're hardcore.
My husband back here is high.
Oh my goodness. Yay. Yay. Perfect. Yes. West Point. I was on their website last night, and I'm thinking, ooh, they, some great people come out of West Point, and it's awesome. And I feel
so Bob can probably join in and help you out with some terms.
Oh my goodness. Yes. This wonderful hat we'll talk about. But yes, so General House retired after working, in the military. He retired about 1965. He was over the armed forces in Korea, Republic of Korea. He came back and he retired. That was his final command. And he actually ended up working for Bell Helicopter. So anyone with DFW, we're all familiar with Bell Helicopter. But because with him, over his career, which I did not know, so again, feel free to chime in, he was one of the leading people, the leading voices in incorporating airborne attacks as far as like helicopters and really bringing them in. And I did not know that. He was particularly interested in the aviation, especially going overseas and incorporating various helicopters, various planes, and really kind of creating its own niche within the greater military arm and the Army itself. And I did not know that. And that's why he came to Bell Helicopter. He was kind of like a consultant, and he also was on their executive board, because he was just kind of giving his background, his experience, and he was helping lead those that technology that they were producing, those helicopters. So I thought that was very interesting. I'm not quite sure what he passed away, what he died from, but he did die here in Fort Worth. So it's also a little bit of local history as well. Now, General House, what we have here today are various pieces. We've got a dress coat, we've got a dress shirt with a dress vest, and then of course we've got the tar bucket hat or helm, I guess we could say, and so we can talk about it. But let's go ahead and, any questions first off before we start talking about, all right. And so So we do have this military dress coat with the vest. Now, technically, there would be a shirt underneath it. And then I also have a shirt. But I wanted, and it's got tails. I'll turn it around and see if we can. We'll just kind of roughly see the tails that he would have worn. And then I'm going to turn it back around. But what's interesting, and maybe y'all have heard of this, I was doing a little bit of research on it. If we look, I'm gonna turn on the inside of the jacket. Does anyone recognize this, or have they ever seen this before? This is James S. Lee Company. Custom tailors, hand tailored. You will also see Hong Kong and James S. Lee Company right here. This is going to be through here. I was doing research on this last night when I saw this, because this is interesting in and of itself. So James Lee, his dad started, they're Chinese, came to America. He served in the military, and they started doing a lot of custom work for the military in general, a lot of tailoring for special garments. And it was actually a very large company. It was one of the largest within the US, especially when they started working with different accounts within the military. And I didn't even know that either. I was like, oh, what's this? We're going to Google this. But you can see we are missing some pieces. I know he would have some epaulets here. There would have been medals right here. There have been bars, things picked up. I do not know if we have those. I did not come across them. But we do have this. And then, of course, the vest itself, which there's nothing on the inside of the vest here. But I have a shirt, just a pressed white shirt here. It's actually on the larger side. Can you zoom out just a little bit? There we go. So you can see, and maybe someone can tell me, this one obviously buttons in the back. So this gentleman had help getting ready, because those, I wasn't even going to try to put it on the mannequin. I'm like, this is, nope, we're going to cover it up, because the back is very interesting. So obviously it would be buttoned in the back. And then this one is from Lion of Troy. It's 100% cotton. You can see the tag here. We actually have 3 of these. Here's that. But I wanted to see if anyone knew, because I really couldn't find much. On this right here. Stephanie, do you think we can get a close-up of it? All of his shirts are stamped with this. Does anyone recognize any of that? Because I'm sure it's the measurements. Disregard this one, that's our number. But I'm sure this is, when you're ordering several shirts, this is what would be marked.
It's some that maybe neck size and that kind of
That's
thing.
what I'm assuming, is that it's his measurements.
They look similar to like when my husband buys his button-up shirts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. And I was just not familiar with men's sizes or how they go about measuring for custom fit shirts.
Oh,
that's regular Army stuff. I've never commissioned.
I just wondered if you knew what the numbers represented.
Mm-hmm.
There's probably several of them.
All right. So we'll go ahead and fold this one back up, but we've got some, it's a very beautiful shirt. I love this. I don't even know what you would call this, but
they have cufflinks.
Cufflinks. That word escapes me.
Yeah, and a person of his rank would have an orderly that would help dress him.
Okay.
Okay, so that's why they could have the buttons in the back. The coat was basically, if I'm trying to remember the term, it's a dinner jacket.
Yes, a dinner jacket. Okay,
Yes.
it just says dress.
Right.
Dress code
It's
in our
different than what
database?
you would wear in an everyday, but for a banquet or after hours, after 6 o'clock, they would wear a dinner jacket.
Okay, now there was also like a collar.
Right.
There would be one for this, but was there a tie?
Yes,
Or
it's
there
a
was
bow.
a tie.
It's a bow tie.
The bow tie.
Bow
Okay.
tie. Yeah.
That makes complete sense
Yeah.
because I couldn't find images and I didn't have an image of him wearing any of these items. And so I go, okay, obviously I'm not from the military and I'm not quite sure, but I know it's cool. We'll bring it.
Because even if you don't have the dinner jacket, if you just have the regular dress, after 6 o'clock, you have to wear the bow tie.
Oh.
Okay. You can't wear just the regular necktie. You have to wear a bow tie after 6 o'clock in the evening.
Okay. That's awesome.
That makes them more dressy for an evening event.
Okay. That makes complete sense to me.
I wonder if Howard Taft ever knew that. Anybody know Howard Taft?
Yeah.
No.
Always wore the bow ties.
He used to do the weather. And he
that Howard Taft.
Yeah.
Harold Taft.
Harold Taft.
Harold, yes.
Howard Taft was the president.
Yes.
Because my dress uniform came with both the regular tie and the bow tie when I have it.
Okay. So the regular tie is what we're thinking of as a regular tie.
Right. It's a regular necktie, but after 6 o'clock, you have to wear the bow tie.
Always? Always.
Because it's an event, it's a dress event. Unless you're in an actual working situation, you know.
It's fancy.
Does your rank have anything to do with that?
No.
No.
Not real well. Most officers, whether it's enlisted or non-enlisted, would have that. Okay.
Well,
most enlisted personnel that were not an officer would not have that situation.
Well, who would dress when you said orderly? How would someone come about being one of those people?
They'd be assigned to a high-ranking officer. It's be kind of like a butler,
like a butler
type of thing. Yeah. They take care of all the personal things for, make sure he's dressed, make sure his uniform is up correctly, anything related like that. You would see that particularly with those who are at higher rank, on a ship, always the captain, the admiral, always had somebody underneath him that helped take care of everything, took care of all the make sure the cooks and everything, all the linens were set out on the table right, a whole thing, So very, very high rank, it was a very prestigious position to be in. Now you were an enlisted person, but it was very prestigious to be in, to be served a high ranking officer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I did not know that is.
So it'd be the equivalent of an English butler.
Right.
English butler.
Yeah.
Steve, a high-ranking military officer?
Was me? No, I was just captain.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you for your service.
Thank you.
It's always nice to be, you're helping, y'all are helping me so much because again, the military collection I'm not very familiar with, so I'm learning those things and it's great for me to just be able to ask, in layman's terms, what's an order, those types of things. Because and if you have any like websites or books, or does anyone know to kind of help someone a beginner's level of understanding, military terminology, especially when it comes to clothing?
You can Google it out there.
Yeah, but
there's companies out there that actually, the dress uniform companies that are out there have a lot of information on their website.
Okay, of how they
as far as about the uniform. I can't remember, the one I got is not from that company that you got, but it's another one, a very, very prestigious company here in the United States that sells a lot of military uniforms. And they have a lot of information on their website about the different pieces of the thing, the medals, how you put the medals on, the whole thing, you know.
Hey, Steve, do you still have your
I still
jacket?
have it. Yeah.
Excellent.
I still have it. It doesn't quite fit anymore. I have to move.
It's shrunk,
I have to move the buttons a little bit, you know. But I still have it. I still have everything. Yeah.
Good.
My brother has a small story about dressing. He went into the service as a captain, as a dentist, and that was his deal. And they handed him his uniform, and they handed him all of the buttons and stuff, and in a pile. Yeah. And he had them in his hand, and he looked at the lady, and he said, "I don't know what to do with these. I'm just a dentist. You're going to have to dress me."
Yeah. Well,
unless you know, you don't know.
I basically, you know, when I got my jacket, since I was with the Texas State Guard, I had to change all my buttons because they have different buttons in the U.S. military. Oh. Their buttons are like the Texas Highway Patrol, Texas Rangers. They've got the star, Texas star on them. And so I had to basically, I took mine down to the Army Navy store in Grand Prairie because they do uniforms. And so they could sew them on correctly, the right way, you know, onto the uniform.
Ooh, that is very interesting.
Yeah.
None of that. That is good data right there, as far as helping us down the road, because I would like to highlight some of our military pieces moving forward, just because we actually have quite a bit. I mean, within the museum's collection, we have several different pieces of uniforms.
Another good reference for you might be down in Austin. There is a Texas Military Museum.
Yes.
Down at Camp Mabry. And they might be a good resource for you because they have all sorts of information about the military.
Okay, no, that sounds great. I also feel like there's a road trip in my future.
Yeah, it's really, really good. They've done a very good job of expanding it. And they go all the way from the beginning of Texas military, from the beginning of Texas all the way up through, you know.
Okay.
So it's really good.
That's not bad, because I do know within our military collection, I think the oldest uniform we have is World War I. I don't believe we have anything. Now we have clothing that dates Civil War, you know, even earlier than that. But as far as military, I believe ours stops at World War I. And we also have some women's uniforms as well, which I hope to maybe highlight one day, just because they haven't
the museum is open to the public. So, you know, you don't pay for it. You just go in. It is a donation if you want to, but you don't have to pay for it. It's open to the public. Camp Mabry, all you need to get on base is your driver's license on the camp. You know, they don't. So it's a military installation, but all you need is your driver's license to get on.
No, that would be great.
Pretty neat. Pretty neat. It's in the older part of the camp, so the buildings are more of the older style.
Yeah.
The chapel's there. So you got a lot of older style buildings in that area.
Nice. Well, and those kind of things help me. So thank you again, because, you know, should anything ever be exhibited and we make label copy and we make, you know, we have to fact check and make sure that we are using appropriate terminology. And this is definitely one of my areas where you don't want to slip up, but it's finding those resources where you are explaining things correctly. And I'm always trying to find good resources, whether it's online or just through someone that can kind of just, you know, double check, make sure everything looks good before we actually put it on display for the public, because Lord knows we don't want, last thing I want to do is offend someone. That's always in the back of my mind, is being mindful and being aware of terms.
I want to know about the bucket hat.
Oh, the bucket hat. Sure, we can move on and then we can always come back. Yes, the bucket hat. I had to do a little bit of research on this one as well.
It's pretty.
It's actually in very good condition, y'all. I was pleasantly surprised when I opened the box. Now, this was given to him. So this one was not one that he graduated with or anything like that. This one was given, I guess how you would say, maybe like a ceremonial, like just an honor, as far as, you know, here we gave you another one. but they're all called tar bucket hats. And whenever I was doing some research, West Point cadets, if I'm using that term correctly, they would wear these in parades. This was obviously ceremonial. And the chin strap, is anyone familiar with it would rest? I don't even think that it's resting correctly. But this one doesn't have, obviously, I think it would rest about right here. He's missing his leg right there. But isn't it beautiful? And then you have, so these are also known as shakos. Anyone heard that term?
Yes.
As far as the origins of Hungary, they were helmets. At first, they were even regarded as a little bit of protection, and then you get a little bit more ostentatious, but they go way back. And then the feathers, I'm not going to pull them out. I'm not going to pull it out, but if we can see, does everyone see? I don't know if you can. This piece here.
Yeah.
Yes.
You could pop that off, and you can add this one here.
Oh,
Right. Yeah.
And it would go, and it would be like this, and it would just sit right there. Which I am actually not familiar with this particular piece. I've seen it in images, and I know that it can be inserted. And I saw this one as far as West Point cadets were wearing these when they were in, on parade, lined up in their gray uniforms. Our wonderful West Point graduate, is he familiar with it? Has it changed?
Bob?
Mr. Cooper? Is that
Bob?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, let me come over. Yeah, the two decorations for the tar bucket. One, the feathered, is for a cadet officer.
Oh, okay.
The other cadets that aren't officers wear the smaller one.
Well,
So you take out the feathered one and insert it, the one that you have that's on your right hand.
Mm-hmm.
That's for all the other cadets, okay?
Okay, thank you. I did not know that. So that actually helps a lot because each one of these has a different object ID number. And so they're in the database just a little differently. And so I can actually maybe go back in and say, oh, this would have been used. This is an officer. So that's great.
Information provided by Bob Cooper.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
It's old information.
Yes, and then we've got here, I don't know if we can read it, Country, West Point, we've got their insignia right here, which you can't really see. But I really like this one is the chin, I'm gonna call it a chin strap. You could take this off, and then when you were traveling, or I'm assuming when you were not wearing it, you've got a nice little hook back here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
To hold it in place. If y'all can see that, it's like right there. And then that would be fixed. And then we put it, is there any like a special case that would be used for something like this? I'm assuming there would be.
The hat box.
A very unique
box,
custom hat box that I wish I had. It did not come with a hat box. So it's currently in a box that we kind of made to fit it because we try to touch these items as little as possible, especially with feathers. Feathers are obviously very delicate. And I believe this one was from the 60s. So it's right before, he's retiring, so this is early 60s when they gave it to him. So it's still in very good condition. Who's to say if he even wore it? Not quite sure. I can kind of gently take this off and we can look maybe on the inside of this hat if I hold on. So we've got Bailey ink. I don't know if you'll be able to read it. See if you can zoom in. Hollywood, Florida. We're gonna try to zoom in for y'all.
Doesn't look like it's been worn very much at all.
It really doesn't.
No.
But then we also have 6, 7/8.
Have the size.
Yeah, there we go. Here we go. Got 218, 6 and 7 8. Valley. This is kind of faded through here.
Is it Valley on it? That's a It's a brand of hat. Valley hat. Yeah.
This one is the Cadet Store West Point and Bailey or BAYL, Hollywood, Florida. Oh, Bailey Incorporated.
Yeah, they're one of the manufacturers of hats for the military.
Awesome. Let's see if I can put this.
And that probably the hat is more leather. The brim and everything is leather. Some of the newer ones are not quite as much leather. You know, they're more of the artificial.
Oh, okay, kind of like a faux.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Now the older ones, I mean, the felt would be what, beaver, I'm assuming, or something, as far as just the ones that are on the older side, just like a.
It's a leather of some sort. I don't know what it would be, but yeah.
And with the felt.
Yeah.
I think that's fitting about correctly.
Looks good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yep.
Over here trying to mess with the mannequin.
Thank you.
Head.
And I'm going to have to leave. I've got another meeting, but thank you so much,
Later,
Leah. I
Steve.
enjoyed it. Okay,
Yeah,
we'll see you guys tomorrow.
Have a good day, Steve.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
See you later.
Bye-bye.
This is a great program, y'all. I'm learning a lot. I'm super happy. I always learn things whenever I do this program with y'all. So it's always exciting because I need to be educated. I need to learn more on these things. It's wonderful. All right. So I hate to see him go because we still have another item that I wanted to show you. This was for when he retired, for when General House retired.
Yeah.
And this was given to him in Korea. We have a little, it's a ceremony, it's a cane. And so
it's
Ivory.
It's ivory. It's 100% ivory here. And then it's also heavily engraved, but you can see, I know you can't fully read it, but it says General Hamilton H. House, retired, RET, by, given from Lieutenant General, I do not know the name, Chae Myung-shin, commander, and whatever their army would be. So it was given to him while he was still in Korea on his way out. And let's just say they don't do this anymore. No one has a piece of ivory. I don't know. In our accession records, it does not say if this came from elephant or rhino. I mean,
It would probably be elephant.
I'm assuming it's an Asian elephant,
Yeah.
just because of the ivory. Hippo. Hippo. I was thinking hippo, but I don't think it's hippo because they have such a curved tusk. But I'm thinking elephant. Yeah.
What did Stan say?
Woolly mammoth.
A woolly mammoth.
In the violin world, when they had to change over from ivory, they went directly to woolly mammoth because they had been extinct, of course, for a long time. But yeah, so it's just all the violin frogs that they carve should play in the symphony. Not all of them, but a lot of them are mammoth.
No way. Are you? No, is that true? Are you joking? That I never knew that. Oh, hold on.
So Miss Cooper asked if the items are in a museum anywhere nearby because her husband's looking for a possible place to donate his West Point uniform.
Oh my goodness. Are these items looking for possible?
We can't hear you very well.
Oh, thank you. Okay. So we just, Mrs. Cooper asked a question. Are these items in a museum anywhere near? These items are currently not on display. They might be one day. Currently, there is nothing on schedule to highlight these. if you're interested in donating, we can definitely give you our email address, or if you want to talk over the phone, we can give you a phone number as well if you're interested in donating.
If you're interested, she'll give you her email.
I'm trying to think if we have, I don't believe we have a lot of West Point other than General House. But if you're definitely interested,
how many items are in our collection total, give or take? I don't know if they can answer the question.
Military or just in general? Oh my goodness.
Like 1 million?
Not quite. I'm going to say 400,000 to 500,000 pieces. But that ranges from a projectile point to something like this, to a chair.
To the polar bear.
To a polar bear. Well, and that's not even science.
Oh,
I don't think.
different.
Science is a little bit different.
So we have lots of things that aren't on display.
Yes, we do have a lot. Most of our collection is never on display at any given time. Just that's the nature. These things, depending on what it is, doesn't need a lot of exposure to sunlight. You know, these items are in climate controlled conditions. So there's all kinds of different stipulations. And of course, when people donate things, it's always written in the accession, in the gift form, as far as what they're wanting. You know, some people, believe it or not, donate and they don't want it to be on display. They just want, they want it to be housed correctly. You know, they want it to be taken care of. So a lot of people are like, they're fine. They just want it to be taken care of. They know they can't do it. So they'll find an institution like a museum and gift it. But yeah, this one, just going back to this wonderful little cane, I'm sure that there's a technical term for it.
Yeah, it is called, I just looked it up. It's called a baton.
Oh, thank you, a baton. See, y'all are just making our database better. I can go in and edit these and make it right. But isn't that beautiful?
It is.
So sorry, there's a glare.
Oh, is it on here?
Let me see. We're gonna try to fix that.
Lee, I just posted the email address for Webmaster and the guest information phone number on our chat.
Thank you so much. Yes.
You're welcome.
I'll be putting your email in.
That's gorgeous.
Now to take a picture of those addresses.
Let me see if I can get this. Sorry, I'm playing around with the lighting.
Do you want to move like over here?
Maybe so.
You move a little over. It's kind of direct.
Where's the?
Here we go. Oh, I think we're getting it, y'all. There we go. Thank you, Bethany.
Yeah, that weird spot has a weird hot spot. Well, and the system is designed for like school programs, not for like up close artifact viewing.
But y'all do a good job though. You really do. I found this one yesterday and I was very excited to bring it out because we have so many items in our collection. I never know everything. So it is a little bit like treasure hunting at times. It had, I went to its location and I found the box and I said, ooh, y'all would like to see this. I would love to bring it out and show y'all.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It's beautiful. And we all know, it's illegal now.
Yes.
We're not even going to try. But the museum does have several pieces like this that were obviously before those laws went into effect. So we do have, hippo tusks. We've got quite a few pieces made from elephant, from ivory, just across the board, culturally speaking. Either it was seized and they needed to find an institution to house it and take care of it, or again, it was donated before the 70s.
Now, what do they do with things that are seized nowadays?
So depending on location of where it's seized, that's a very good question. What happens to them? It will depend on what it is. And then I believe it's the Department of Interior, don't hold me to that, will find certain institutions that have licenses. Like we have a license, for example, the director of the science collection was talking about birds and like eagle feathers, those are illegal to have.
We do have a bald eagle specimen.
But and so we actually have a license to have to hold items made of that. And we actually had some seized on the border of Mexico. They were seized. Someone was trying to bring them over, and it looked like they had been painted or something, but come to find out, they confiscated them, and then they actually gave it to our museum because they knew we could take them, and we have them, and we have no plans of doing anything with them other than just housing them.
Right here,
Things like that.
Yeah, give me your camera again.
It's absolutely when it comes to, and anything obviously donated before what, the 70s, Bethany, 60s, 70s?
Yeah, anything
then we've got. And that also goes for hides. Technically, we're not talking about the history collection, but I do know that, we have a few tiger skins.
We have a lion.
We have a lion, things that you can't, the tiger that we use was confiscated in the 70s from a taxidermy, like a shop, like a store, a taxidermist, and they brought it to us, and we have it in the teaching collection, and it's used from time to time when talking about large cats. But
wolves, which I think are now.
Yep, I think wolves. But yeah, we have a lot of little things like that, and then not even touching the Native American as far as just anything, not counting human remains, which is a little bit more cut and dry. And then of course, anything of cultural significance, anything sacred, anything ceremonial, we will be very mindful of and not display it or take extra caution with it. But things that were given to us, but have been flagged as far as be mindful of just how this is going to be displayed or if it's displayed. So it's really case by case, but we do have a little bit of everything within the history collection, not counting science. I know a little bit about science, but we'll have to bring LaShawn Spotted Bear in for that one as far as just.
Where's the camera?
We need to set you up more often, Lee.
Yeah.
Oh, great. Oh my gosh, I would love that. I also, I stumble upon things. Education, they're all wonderful ladies. They come in, they're like, let's do a program. I go, yay, what are we doing? They're like, well, play around with it. And they give me a little bit of freedom. And so I just start searching. I hit our database, anything that pops into mind, anything that I haven't covered, anything that hasn't been shown in a while, things like that. We're just pulling things and trying to find something because it's good for me too. It forces me to read up on things and come with questions and hope that we can have a great conversation because it does help. And so it might just be my challenge to y'all. I might just come up with some things that I'm not quite sure of, and maybe together we can fill in the holes.
Like a mysteries of the museum.
Like a mysteries of the museum, because there's a lot. There are things, and you also have to remember that the museum's our collection is decades old as far as when the institution is collecting things. So names change, terminology changes, even within the museum world. It's fluid, the lexicon comes up with different names on how we classify. So even, for example, with this one, who knows when the last time it was actually out of its box, but it had cane. And now we know that that's not the correct point, that needs to be adjusted. But that happens a lot of time. That happens across all kinds of museums. Just the accession records, especially when you're moving things over from written or carbon copies or typewriter, anything over to a digital and actually putting it in the database. So we are always altering the database, making it better, saying, this term isn't correct. Okay, well, I'm gonna change it. I'm gonna delete it. We'll make note of it, but it's always evolving. And I feel like one of the best things is because I've helped it, I've improved it. I've learned avenues, and we can make it a little bit easier, because sometimes we'll find things and it'll be classified. You're like, well, that's probably not the best. Okay, we're going to change it to make it easier to find. But yeah, this great knowledge, and I can definitely work with that just by talking to y'all. So thanks for helping the museum.
All right, no problem.
You didn't even realize you were doing it, and you just come and you're helping us. And my boss, she would say the exact same thing. We are constantly learning from other people, from other institutions. It helps. And by bringing these items on display, as far as just even through Zoom, bringing them here, y'all can kind of help me. And even if we can't figure it out together, that's okay, because it gives me a starting, we can find something. I've got Google too. I can definitely look, but it definitely helps my research, because I don't know. I don't know everything. And we're always coming up with things that we find in
817 by 59407.
I got that. I got it. I'll call.
Are we good? Are we still good on time? Because we can keep on talking.
I had one question for you.
Got about 5 more minutes.
Okay.
Okay. Don?
Do you have many displays of clothing that are on display in the History Museum?
Not currently. We did a little bit last year with a beads exhibit. We have 2 astronaut suits, 2 training suits. We will have a buckskin jacket, I hope, in one of the larger display cases. And then in cattle raisers, there are some Western attire, I believe, but not a lot.
Okay.
You do have a lot of clothing in the collection, though, don't you?
We do, yes. We actually have a very large textile collection. It gets a little bit tricky when it comes to displaying those things, because gravity is not your friend.
Yeah.
And mannequins, we really have to piece things together. But if we're wanting to kind of go the clothing route, I can definitely pull a little bit of everything. And we even have, oh my goodness, let me get it correct. Quanah Parker's mom, she had a buffalo robe. We actually have it. It's very large because of how it's displayed. So it doesn't come on display very often, and it wouldn't even fit in this room. Wow. But it's beautiful, and it's been a while since it's been on display, and we've actually loaned it to the Cherokee Nation. No, sorry, Comanche, sorry, not Cherokee, wrong. Comanche in Oklahoma. And I would love to see that one out, but figuring out how we can get that and how long it can actually be on display. But I might be able to find an image. I bet I could take an image of it for you just so you could see it. I absolutely do that. But yes, for some of the clothing, military uniforms, women's dresses,
shoes. I remember at one point we had a whole bunch of shoes on display.
Belts, hats. We've got some great hats.
That would be fun.
Yeah, that would be
now,
fun.
what we could do next time is, I'm a fan of focusing on military again, but Fort Worth history. Van Zant, does that ring a bell to anyone? There's the Van Zant Cottage.
Oh,
he
yeah.
was
Oil fields.
School. He was a Confederate veteran that really helped Fort Worth. Post-Civil War, he comes back, he establishes a bank. He has a lot of property that he ends up, that gets annexed for the city. But he did a lot for Fort Worth, and we've got a beautiful, Bethany's seen it, a gray coat that was post-Civil War that was given to him. It's a wool coat. I'm assuming it's a dress coat. It's a longer one. And there's also a vest too. And I try to show that one as much as possible, just because it's in very good condition and I feel comfortable putting it on a mannequin and, holding it and transporting it. Because on some, I will be honest, on some of the articles of clothing, it'd be really hard to display them because they're in such fragile condition.
Yeah.
This one we looked at, but you can definitely kind of see, like, that may not make it, even if it was pinned to the mannequin, it would need some conservation work.
Yeah.
And on certain things, that's out of our element because we're not conservators.
We wouldn't mind seeing things inside of boxes, just as an FYI.
That makes it easier then, you know.
It might be too, sometime we might try having one at Arlington. Where
Yes.
we can actually store everything.
Yes, that would be great, because then we can have some wiggle room and move around and pull several things and set up tables, because I like clothing. I think everyone does. We can talk about, you know, there are sewing terms that I have just stumbled upon because I didn't know, but I like anything textile. And if you're, again, interested in quilts or anything woven, we also count that under textiles. Flags, we can pull flags, large flags, various flags, but fun with flags, things like that. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, Rebecca. And then we can also we can bring firearms too. We are working on a niche that has a few muskets, like muzzle loaders.
Yeah.
From the mid 1800s, if not, actually a little bit earlier, the beginning of the 19th century, that we can talk about too, because I've had to do research on that as well. And YouTube is very helpful with understanding just the different terms and figuring out how to like display them, clean them, and do things like that. But we can actually I could bring in, if we didn't want to do rifles or shotguns, we've got a very nice collection of revolvers. You know, I even think we have a couple of Derringers, which I think just the history of that is interesting. So, and those are, you know, very easy to transport and, you know, beautiful workmanship. We could definitely bring in.
Good. I'd like that.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Let's do revolvers. We can definitely do revolvers next time then, and I'll see what I can find. And we'll also, I'll bring maybe some risers so we can kind of angle them and see, and we can do that. And that will be good.
Sounds great.
Awesome, because some of them are pretty cool and we really don't display very many. It's been a while since we've displayed firearms, not counting cattle raisers, even though we will have a couple of long rifles and a shotgun on display this summer. But those haven't seen, they've been nicely tucked away in their box in a climate controlled facility. I'm always happy to bring them out, but yes. So we will do revolvers, and I might see if I can find some holsters, some holsters that we have. They may not be original to said firearm, but we can look at them. We can definitely kind of see and find what we know about them. I think revolvers are cool.
Yeah. Sounds great. Thank you.
Awesome. Yes, thank you so much. Y'all, this has been a delight.
For us too. Yeah.
Thank you.
Always enjoying it. Okay.
All right.
Well,
Lee, we just look forward to the next time we get to see you.
Absolutely. Y'all have to come back and see me and see what I will. I'll bring firearms next time. So
right.
That sounds so bad. That sounds so bad.
Programming for children.
Yeah, most of the programs are with children, and so you have to be a little bit more mindful of the audience. But y'all, I can bring anything.
Yeah.
Don particularly would love that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Great.
Yeah. Well,
I can make that happen.
Again, we thank you, Miss Lee. I hope you have a fabulous day and keep on doing the wonderful work that you do.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. That's very kind of you. I hope y'all have a great Memorial Day weekend coming up in the future. And we'll see you, in June? Is it June? I think it's June. I'll see you then.
In June, yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Excellent.
Thank you, dear. Have yourself a wonderful day.
You too. Bye, everyone. Have a good day.
Bye-bye. Well, I thought I was going to show you what was coming up, but it went away. So let me see if I can find it again.
Okay.
You know how Martha is.
Perfect.
Oh, perfect. Here we go. Texas winds. They did not tell us what we were going to do tomorrow, so it's a surprise until someone tells Gail.
I would take Sentimental Journey again. I love those guys.
Great.
They were great.
Absolutely. We'll take that any day of the week.